Hey, how you doing?
Hi, guys.
Good. And welcome back to this week's video, The Root of All Evil.
Ooh, I'm
Good.
nervous.
So what do you think about the last videos and the three golden rules of Paragon Chiropractic?
Those were good.
Yeah. I mean, there's really only one golden rule, and that is stop harming yourself. And think about that as you go through life and the things that you're doing. I mean, if you're not harming yourself, you probably won't be injured or harmed. The other two rules, which are essentially, make those lifestyle changes to keep from harming yourself, and make sure whatever changes you do or whatever you're going to do is actually working so that you don't continue to harm yourself. You'll see they're basically just to keep you from harming yourself. So pretty much just stop harming yourself, and I think I think you'll see that good things come about it. It's just one of those things. If you stop loading the gun, stop dropping an anvil on your foot, you'll find that your hip doesn't hurt as much and you can walk and things go along pretty well. So, again, just to repeat, just stop harming yourself and you'll start to make progress. Pretty simple.
Yep. I have a little public service announcement about electrolytes. So a lot of times people are getting dehydrated this time of year because it's very, very, very hot out here, especially in Arizona. This is an electrolyte pack, 30 servings, little individual packs. You pour it in your water, you drink it down. This is watermelon flavor. We have a bunch of different really delicious flavors, and it's very, very helpful. So let us know if we can help you there.
All right, good. You'll notice that the theme in a lot of the videos that we put together and blogs that I write are essentially the importance of life and living. And if a person really stops to think about it, life and living truly is the panacea to all that ails you and all that might ail you in the future. Always push in the direction of life and living, and you'll probably find that you'll avoid a lot of the sicknesses and other things that might crop up in your way. It's one of those things where health and wellness and life and living are not two separate things. A person can't work on being on his health and wellness and disregard life and living, nor can he work on life and living and disregard his health and wellness. They're two sides of the same coin, basically. And in my opinion, the reason you get into health and wellness is to essentially improve the quality of your life and living. Pretty simple. I mean, so with that in mind, well, should I this? Should I that? Shouldn't I this? Shouldn't I that? Why don't you just go live and enjoy your life and see where the chips fall? Really pretty simple. That being said, we do see a number of patients who, following an accident or an injury, wonder what the future might hold for them. Will their injuries lead to debilitating arthritis or chronic pain and disability? Will they one day need to have surgery or something along those lines? Or will they continue to have trouble? And what can they do to prevent troubles and pains and aches and stuff and difficulties in the future? They are constantly asking the eternal question, why does this keep happening to me? The best and only answer is that it depends on how well the person heals and recovers from the inflammatory episodes related to their injuries, right? That's it. So, acute inflammation should be a temporary event following an injury. Acute inflammatory mediators, you hurt yourself, then these cells and the immune system release these things that cause an inflammation or an inflammatory process. The immune system goes in, they clean up the damaged tissues, and they signal the healing process to begin. Keep in mind that the inflammation signals the anti-inflammation. That's very important to keep in mind. So this would allow for the very best prognosis is if a person actually heals and recovers from their injuries and they're simply done with it and move on with their life and continue to live, right? In other words, the acute inflammatory process would do its thing and then shut off, and then shut off, and then shut off. That's the whole thing. But what if this doesn't happen? What if the acute inflammatory process doesn't shut off and it becomes a chronic inflammatory situation? Or what if a person was already chronically inflamed prior to the injury? which is usually the case. People have this idea, oh, I was perfect right up until I hurt myself. And it's like, no, probably not. You're probably unhealthy and chronically inflamed. Now, if you're chronically inflamed and have chronic inflammation going on, this could spell trouble in a lot of it and for quite a long time. Ugh, that's not a good thing. Here's another thought, and some of the smarter patients, which are older people like Dr. Diane and I, are interested in knowing what they can do to keep from falling apart so quickly. So they see themselves falling apart, and it's like, oh, this is happening a little too fast. What can I do to keep from falling apart so quickly? In any situation, there's so many concerns, so many worries. But what if I told you, get this, but what if I told you conceptually, in theory, there was one solution to all of these concerns, one solution to the root of all evil. I mean, at least as far as your body is concerned and your general health and wellness are concerned. One solution to all these questions and all these problems. Regardless of a person's ambition, whether it's to get out of pain, keep chronic injuries from flaring up, or simply wanting to prevent from falling apart too soon, there is a single plan of action and that is to resolve chronic inflammation. If that's what you worked on, more than worrying about disease X or disease Y or your knee or your back or your earlobe or anything else, but essentially you worked on handling chronic inflammation, you would be on the right path. Chronic inflammation, that is a slow, long-term inflammation that can last for several months to years. That's pretty wild. You have to keep in mind that chronic inflammation is not an object that's in the body. So I'll just go have the surgeon tear chronic inflammation out of me, right? And then we'll be okay.
That'd be cool.
Then I can go back.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, that's not it. It's chronic inflammation is a highly destructive process. And it's a process that the person himself is causing. Think of a slow, smoldering fire that never resolves, and you have a pretty good idea of the destructive power of chronic inflammation. It's basically it. And it's burning not just that knee that you banged into the wall, your whole body. It becomes systemic when it's chronic.
We have breaking news, people.
Huh.
Nolan is really cute.
He needs to be part of this.
That's the PSA. If you haven't met him, this is Austin's kid, Nolan. He's 5 months old.
We're the grandparents.
The old people. All right. So, and keep in mind, chronic inflammation is not limited to the joints and tissues, just like we said that were originally injured. Chronic inflammation can be systemic and adversely impact the entire body. Here's a thought. Chronic knee pain and inflammatory conditions like arthritis can increase the risk of cardiovascular disease and other heart conditions. So that knee, it's just kind of always stiff and sore. It could be a sign that you're developing cardiovascular disease. And the thing that's destroying your knee is destroying your heart and everything else. Those with osteoarthritis, this is interesting, of the knees are almost 3 times more likely to develop cardiovascular disease or heart disease than those without osteoarthritis. And osteoarthritis is just, it's an old age thing, don't worry about it. When you go see your doctor and he says it's just arthritis, he's saying it's osteoarthritis. And you say, well, wait a second, I might be 3 times more likely to have a heart attack. What do you mean, don't worry about it? And it is a sign of chronic inflammation. So, but here's the thing. Now, don't breathe a sigh of relief because your knees are good, because this can apply to almost any joint in your body, right? So, I got good knees, so I don't have to worry about it. But this elbow and this shoulder, wow. So here's the thing, and we talked about this. A person can take over-the-counter anti-inflammatories to reduce pain, but the inflammatory process continues to smolder, and who knows what it is targeting in your body. Good. Now, this is the part where I'm supposed to tell you how to eliminate chronic inflammation so you can continue your inflammatory lifestyle and not feel so self-conscious about killing yourself a slow and torturous death. Right?
No.
I mean, basically, what that would be is, I guess all you'd need to do is eat ice cubes, right? Put the whole fire out. There it is. Live on ice cubes. No more chronic inflammation, right? No, wrong. And you know, I have in a number of earlier videos, and I've spoken at length about David Seaman's, the chiropractor's book, the deflamed diet, and how important that is, right? Everyone should do themselves a favor and read it. I will be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. Now, here's the thing, right? And we're getting kind of toward the end here because I like to keep these in around that 10 minutes. But here's the thing. Most, if not all, complaints patients bring to our office are the result of unresolved chronic inflammation. They either began as a result of the biochemistry of chronic inflammation or never really healed and resolved for the same reason, the biochemistry of chronic inflammation. So the big question is, how can adjustment every once in a while put out the fire your diet and lifestyle have set in your body? It can't. So please let us know if you have any questions or if you'd like help, or it's like, yeah, I do have those chronic pains.
And,
Yeah.
and it all comes down to you are what you eat.
Yeah.
And so you got to look at what you're eating that's creating inflammation that keeps the body on fire in bad ways. So there you go.
All right. So you hit the like and the subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
Nolan says he'd rather you be smoking hot on the outside than on the inside.
There it is. Thank you, Nolan. That's all I was trying to say with this whole thing. Thanks for summarizing.